Hey everybody, this is Michelle.
And this is Julie coming to you from Seattle, Washington, the Emerald City, on this fine day where it's actually not raining.
Not bad.
No. And we had a hell of a night last night.
I was going to say, we're good that we're doing this because, yeah, we had some fun last night.
And it's interesting because we have our episode this time is on the message in the music. And we've got some songs that we're going to talk about and what they had originally intended. But of course, we had our own night out with Eileen, the three amigos, last night to see a hip hop concert, Northwest hip hop concert. It was so much fun.
Legends of the West.
Yeah. Legends of the West. We had Bone Thugs and Harmony and of course Ice Cube. And there's so much controversy around some of his original music, which we might get into on another episode just because hip hop is kind of its own jam, you know? Mm-hmm. But we had so much fun. And here we are today talking about some music. And we really are intrigued by the songs that we've listened to over time and what the messages have been in those songs. And have actually talked about it on a few different occasions because there's so many that really resonate with your heart for one reason or another. And then there's others that are just kind of funny, you know, and really don't have a lot of depth to them, but they're funny and they've got a great beat. But we each have chosen a few today that we wanted to talk about. So, Michelle, which one was the first one that you decided to talk about today?
Well, before I get into that, just some of the stuff you were saying, music is such a huge influence in people's lives, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
The way when you really think about how many really thousands of songs that you not only know the tune to, but you know the words. It's kind of crazy.
Well, the other thing too, we were talking about this morning actually was some songs that were from John Mellencamp, who is someone that I loved earlier on. I loved his music and he's from rural Indiana. And some of the songs that he has, I remember like events that corresponded with them.
Yeah, moments you can remember when you hear a song, you think of it's like a moment in time.
Yep.
It's very cool.
So like that John Mellencamp one as an example, I remember many years ago with Mary, of course, we were at the Gorge and we went to see him and we camped and there was this group of guys that were all from Canada and all they brought was a gallon of vodka.
A gallon.
These are the things I remember. And then we pitched a tent and the bed in the tent was really comfy and everything. When I went to go lay down, there was a mouse underneath it. Oh. Well, and it was under the tent and I think it was under actually the tarp on the tent. So it wasn't going to touch me or anything, but those are the things you remember, you know?
Did you squish it?
No, I screamed. I think I screamed, you know? So anyway,
what was your first concert?
My very first concert was the Cars.
What year did you go? What year was that?
Oh God, 1978 or 9 maybe?
Yeah, my first concert was 1978. I saw Earth, Wind and Fire.
Did you see them here?
At Spokane.
Oh, in Spokane. Because they were my second concert and I actually never made it in because apparently someone called my parents and I had been drinking some beverages in line. You know, it was all like festival seating back then. And my dad, I don't really remember all the details. Came and took me out of line. I probably was on restriction for many weeks after that. Who knows? But that's so the funny. The Cars was at Heck Ed and a firecracker dropped on my foot. I know the things you remember, but that was a great show. Yeah. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, anyway, you're right. And that was the other, would you rather, we were talking about, would you rather be blind or deaf? And I mean, if you had to choose, would you rather be blind or deaf? And Michelle was like, I think I'd rather be blind. I just don't think I could go without hearing music. Mm-hmm. And of course I'm thinking, well, then I wouldn't be able to drive and I wouldn't be able to go anywhere. I could see everything if I'm deaf, but I couldn't hear anything. I don't know. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
And we have the visions, of course, of what's in our head, you know, for many years. Like I know what Michelle looks like. So if I was blind, I would know what she looked like, even though she changes her hair all the time. But well, what songs you got today?
So when we were preparing for this, we listed many songs that we were just talking about, coming up with things that we remembered about them. And I kind of chose one that really doesn't have anything, any kind of personal moment or meaning for me, but it's one that everybody I'm sure knows, which is Born in the USA.
Oh, yeah. Bruce Springsteen.
By Bruce Springsteen. And it was interesting in researching the lyrics to this song because that chorus is so catchy, right?
Did you have any idea what it was about?
USA. Well, I think everybody has an idea because it seems like it's this really patriotic, celebration in that regard of the USA. And the hit came out in 1984. And what it actually describes is a Vietnam War veteran who returns home to desperate circumstances and very few options.
Was he disabled? Or
so
did it say
it's just, no, there you go again with all the questions.
I need the details. And of course I should know that because I know the song, but I'm envisioning it in my head. But you're right. I mean, the Vietnam War, when soldiers came back, they were not well received. They were like the bad guys, having come back from being sent overseas and probably have a tremendous amount of trauma, that has gone along with that too.
Yeah. So like the verse, one of the verses, for example, is come back home to the refinery. Hiring man says, son, if it was up to me, went down to see my VA man. He said, son, you don't understand. That's just one of the verses. But then you go into this like really infectious chorus. It's one of the most historically misunderstood songs is what I was reading, how they described it. So a little background on where Springsteen came, kind of how it evolved, was in 1981, Springsteen did a benefit for Vietnam vets in LA. And afterwards, he met with the veterans. And as time went on, he was really moved to write something about the Vietnam veteran experience. And when he first started doing that, he had called the song Vietnam.
Okay.
But of course, that never evolved. And he started, as he came up with the song and started touring in the 80s, he started every one of his concerts with Born in the USA. I think you can visually remember. I know I can.
I went to the concert here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you saw him sing this?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What was
way back in the day? But I didn't have any clue really about the lyrics and what they meant. I mean, I probably at the time was like, "Oh, this is such a jamming song,"
I don't. That's why it's again one of the most misunderstood historically in regard to the popularity that it had, but the true meaning behind how it evolved and came about. But I can see him with that. I did not see him in concert, but that red bandana, there were so many things that you would see Springsteen, the cutoff shirt or jean jacket kind of a thing, that vibe. And
very, very all American. I think he's from the Midwest, isn't he? Originally?
You know what? I don't know.
I think he is.
Yeah. But fist pumping, that's that whole thing.
That
we all
good
know
old fashioned USA rock and roll.
Yeah. And that's why, and it's really about deserving better than what, especially in regard to the veterans. And now we know, looking back, it's not just, the Vietnam, that was such a controversial, in that time. But since then, most veterans, there's a lot of things wrapped around that in the U.S. in regard to how we take care of them.
Well, or don't take care of them.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, how we don't take care of them. Over the years, Springsteen has since tweaked the songs, that song, and in some ways the meaning. And I actually found an acoustic version that he did. He started doing that because of the realization of the misunderstanding. And of course, he took advantage of it. They talked about in this article I was reading, they talked about, of course, because of the popularity, he swooped on that wave. And of course, I'm sure made a ton of money, ton of money on that. But, as time goes on and we mature in our ways, he came up with this acoustic version, which was very different. This was something that he did in the 90s, and it had a very different feeling. Of course, you think of an acoustic guitar, right? There's not going to be that whole rock and roll situation. And in some of the performances, they talked about how he only sang the verses of the song and not that chorus which is what it became so well known for. But then lastly, I kind of took this word for word from an NPR. NPR had this series, and that's kind of where I was reading this. And I just want to read kind of how it ended with it, and I'll end with that. Maybe the meaning of Born in the USA is the distance between the grim verses and the joyous chorus. It's the space between frustrating facts and fierce pride. The demand to push American reality a bit closer to our ideals. So I thought that was really interesting. And when you take songs apart like that,
I know
this is why we wanted to do this. When you really like dissect them and
well, and I think there's also, I've found over the years, different interpretations of songs. Like you will hear it and you might think the words mean something completely different, you know, than the artist really intended. I can think of one song in particular, of course, an Indie Irie song that I have always thought was about dementia or losing someone and they're still there, you know, to Alzheimer's or whatever. And it was actually not the intention of her song, but that's how I took it, you know?
And that's what's so cool about music. You know, it has this, you know, of course, defining moment that the creator came up with it for whatever personal reasons, you know, something they went through, whatever, however it came about. And then the millions and millions of people that listen to it and how it resonates with them can be something completely different, just like you were talking about.
Yeah. And how they take the words. Like we were talking about one song, I think it was Phil Collins that you remembered.
Oh yeah. In the Air Tonight.
In the Air Tonight. And she was telling me, Michelle was telling me how there's one set of lyrics in the song that says, "How's the people living in the street?"
Oh, that's Fly Like an Eagle.
Oh, Fly Like an Eagle. Sorry. Yeah. And she thought it meant, how's the people? Like
how are they? Like, how are they? How's the people?
And really it was, how's the people? Like put them in a house.
Yeah. Living in the street.
Yeah. That's another good song. So
that's when I was young. I did realize when I got older that completely different meaning.
Well, and I had to ask you a couple things about some of these songs that I have always thought they meant something different than they did, or I didn't understand what the chorus meant. But anyway, I love that.
Music is so cool. It really is.
I go through stages where, I mean, of course, I've got my R&B and now like this whole Al Green thing. I'm so into Al Green and all of the R&B old school stuff. I love it.
Yeah,
it's
me
just,
too.
It has so much significance and just such a good vibe. You know, you can tell that it seems more pure to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. It just seems more pure. Well, the first song that I picked was kind of diving forward to 2009. And some people might know this song, some people might not, but it's the Black Eyed Peas, "Where Is the Love?" And my visions or my memories of this are my youngest sitting in the back seat of the car, like driving home from school or whatever, singing this at the top of his lungs, because the kids all knew this. It was very kind of a hip hoppy version. This is the song that put Black Eyed Peas really on the map and was their transition from more of a hip hop type group to pop music. So I think it was more readily available on some of the local stations and stuff. Yeah. Well, and it's really the message is super strong. So it kind of comes out from 9/11. You know, there was so much tragedy that happened with 9/11 and so many theories and all kinds of stuff that people were thinking about the whole world, you know, and how there was so much discriminatory practice against people that were from other religions and things. So just a lot of hate, you know, there was a lot of hate in the world.
I remember, I was just listening to you talk about that I remember that.
Well, I still think there is a lot of that.
Well, yeah, but just the way it came about after 9/11, you're totally right.
Yeah. It's, you know, anybody who wore a hijab or anything was really scrutinized and treated really poorly, and makes me really sad because there were so many people that they're just people. They're good people. You know, people need, you know, a place to live and a place that's accepting. And, you know, they were really not treated well. And I think that still happens, but it's fear. You know, it's a lot of fear from people not knowing or not being educated on stuff that kind of prompts them, I think, to act that way. But the verses themselves on this song were really kind of a social commentary to the mood in the United States at the time. And the big question was about the government. Yeah, there's one verse even in this song that kind of speaks to it. It says, "Overseas, yeah, we're trying to stop terrorism, but we still got terrorists here living in the USA, the big CIA, the Bloods and the Crips and the KKK." Basically, the band is kind of taking the government and putting them in the same category as gang members and white supremacists. All the questions about all these these horrible things that are happening to little kids and what's happening. I mean, there's even this one portion where it says, can we get some help from above? You know, just like looking for some divine intervention or something on this topic, because it's like, where is the love? Why is this happening to these little kids? Why are people having their lungs filled with, you know, gases and things like that? Why is this happening in our world? And then why are people dying? And how long will it take for the powers to be to make some changes so there's not this much horribleness that's happening in our world? So there's a few artists that have taken on this, similar to what you saw like during the Vietnam era and things, where they're just calling shit out.
Yeah.
They're just, and you know, I guess that's kind of the cool thing about free speech, that we can say what we want to say, and you're not going to get thrown in jail or killed for it,
right,
like you will in some other countries, you know. But it's a way for these groups who have a wider reach and message to be able to get a message out. And really, if you listen to the words of this song, it's a very upbeat song, but it's probably one of my favorites because it really speaks to, you know, people just being human, you know, being just humanity in general, and what the hell is happening to our humanity? Why is this taking place? And, you know, what is the government doing to try to combat these problems? And I truly believe there's all kinds of things happening out in the world, in the government, whatever, that we don't know about, we'll never know about. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. That's not my thing, but
I am.
I know you are. Of course, I always listen to her with an open mind, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. So, you know, but at the same time, I sure as hell don't trust, you know, big government for a lot of things. So I think that's what's really speaking to these people in this band, you know, when they're singing
really
this.
Let me just clear the air. I'm not like this hardcore conspiracy theorist, but whenever I hear about that, a lot of the stuff, it just makes me kind of go,
Well, I would say Michelle's just more open-minded than the average person.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
She gets me to think about things sometimes. You know, she says, well, wait a minute here. I'm going to challenge you. She does it all the time, actually, which is good because I need that. But just has a different way of looking at things. And I think that's wonderful. I don't have any issue with that at all. So,
I love that you did this song.
I know.
It's really bringing back a lot of memory of that time and just of that song.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, this was actually really during the great, I don't say what you call it, the Great Recession, or when, you know, the meltdown was happening with the banks in 2007, 2008. So that's where a lot of this is coming from too, because, you know, there's all these people that were out there making a lot of money, doing a lot of really opportunistic things, and our literal economy failed because of it. And it was all based on that. And of course, nobody got in trouble. I mean, I think one banker went to jail or something. There was like no repercussions. You know, the auto industry was bailed out. The banks were bailed out.
Ever. I know.
mean, if they hadn't been bailed out, you can imagine what might have happened. But, you know, we've just recently dealt with that with the airline industry too. So it's kind of interesting. We are, as a nation, are definitely the ones who are keeping these people in business, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think I like a lot of that.
Right.
So anyway, a good song, social commentary. I think it's a good one for kids to hear because it doesn't have any, you know, swearing and all that kind of stuff in it, but it really does speak to some of the things that have been happening in our world. And I imagine, you know, little kids probably have questions about a lot of this stuff if they know about it. And I think they should. I mean, I think we can keep the gore and all of the drama out of it, but I think it's important for people to know, especially the youth of our world, to know what's going on so they can have a voice.
Yeah.
And you saw that during the pandemic, you know, during BLM and all of the things that were going on then. You saw voices.
Yeah.
It was amazing to watch, whether you agreed or disagreed with what was happening. It was so incredible to watch people have a voice.
Yeah, just to see it all unfold.
Yeah, and what a difference it made, really, you know. So there's a lot to be said for music being used in social commentary of what's going on in our world because it calls out what's happening and, you know, hopefully more accountability towards individuals or entities, I should say, who are involved. There you go.
Interesting. When I hear that song again, I'm going to think about it differently.
Yeah.
Just some of the stuff that you pointed out.
I've got the song.
Cool.
I've got it in my head. I'm singing it. My head's going back and forth like that.
I keep wanting to like break out in song.
I know. Where is the love? Which other song did you choose?
Well, I did Landslide.
Ooh.
This was from 1974, so we're going back a little bit.
Okay.
And the original was written and performed by Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac. And it's I just remember this song really resonated with me at a particular time in my life. And that's kind of why I thought about doing it. There's nothing really too profound in regard to it. It's about changes and the challenges of life.
That song makes me, it's kind of melancholy. Like when I hear it, it makes me kind of reevaluate. When I've heard it, it makes me kind of just go,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because you can just hear the questions that are coming out.
Yeah, and I think this is definitely one, though it was written by her in regard to the romance with her then boyfriend, Buckingham, who's also part of Fleetwood Mac, and their career struggles, as well as her relationship with her father, who is a big business executive. So that's kind of that's where it came from in regard to how the song was created. But I think this song is definitely one that's going to resonate with people in a completely different way based on the words. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? And I think right now, for me, that's kind of where I'm at. Can you handle the seasons of your life? You can look back now and see all the different seasons that we've been through, and, have we handled them well? Are we handling them well? That kind of thing. So,
are we stronger for them?
Yeah. Are we stronger for them? And then there's the other part. Well, I've been afraid of changing. I think this is the part of the song that really resonated with me when I was struggling in my marriage. I've been afraid of changing, but I've built my life around you. Time makes you bolder. Children get older, and I'm getting older too. It's kind of like, in a way, freaked me out. Like,
you only get this one life.
Yeah. What are you doing with it? You are getting older. Your kids are getting older. What are you going to do? And just that reflection, such an emotional lyric, I think, that seems simple, but wow.
That is a very timeless song when you think about it being originally recorded in 1974.
Yep.
Stevie Nicks is coming to town.
She is.
Yeah. Mary just messaged me.
You know all this stuff.
Because I love live music.
I know. When is she coming?
I don't know. It's coming up in the spring, I think.
She's awesome. But the Dixie Chick.
It's in May. Sorry, it's in May.
It's in May? Oh, my birthday.
Yeah. Dixie Chicks are now the Chicks, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Just they did a rendition of that song, though, later in the 2000s, early 2000s, I think. Okay. And yeah, that became a karaoke regular for me. I liked singing that one, the Dixie Chick version.
Michelle Aoki.
Michelle Aoki did karaoke kind of off and on.
Well, you also sang in a band. The girl's got a wonderful voice. May I just say, she has a wonderful voice.
I enjoy singing. Don't do it as much anymore. But so anyways, just the lyrics in that song, definitely, I think, as we have all sung to it, probably at some point or another, whether it was the Stevie Nicks version or the Dixie Chicks, the part 2 where I climbed a mountain and I turned around, I think you think about how, getting through struggles and, you're getting to the top, and
that's a huge metaphor.
I know. Yeah. And you turn around and look and see kind of what have you done with it all? What have you done?
Are you finished climbing?
And then there's things that the landslide brought me down. There's just things that you think you're getting up, and then whoosh, down you go. Yeah. So I don't know. Very, very whatever. The lyrics with me to that song anyways.
Well, it's something that you have, like I said, it's a song that has been around for a really long time, but whenever I hear it, it always kind of makes me pause. And like you said, kind of think about what's going on around you, because whenever you hear that, usually it's like, oh, it's on, Spotify, or it's something that just comes up in a playlist or something. It's not like you're going out of your way to hear it. So it'll make me pause when I hear it.
Good point. I like that. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to transition to a fun one that's more of a kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny. This is like classic Hollywoodish crap, but Gwen Stephani, who I love, in 2015, she put a song out called Hollaback Girl. And this is kind of funny. This song was based on, or what I guess the lyrics and everything were based on a feud she was having with Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain's wife. I guess she was his wife. So anyway, Courtney Love made some reference to Gwen Stephani being a cheerleader and kind of in a derogatory way that she kind of implied she wasn't really a great artist. And so the response basically was this video that she did and the song where she's dressed up like a cheerleader. And she just basically was saying, you know what, if you're going to talk shit about me, do it to my face. I'm going to act on it. And I think the song itself, if you see the video, you got to go check it out because the song itself is super catchy. And I would never have even known what the words meant or what they were about. I know the words, but I didn't know the history behind them until I was really looking it up. Mm-hmm. And it really kind of boils down to kind of sticking up for yourself and challenging those who are bad-mouthing you rather than hiding, behind cheap words. Not you, but them hiding behind cheap words.
Is the Hollaback Girl part, is she implying that she's the leader?
Yeah. So the Hollaback is, I guess, a term that's used in cheerleading when you've got someone who's kind of calling the different cheers and all of that.
Give me a P.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
So she's saying, I ain't no Hollaback Girl. She does more than just
she's the
call
leader
the
of
cheer.
the pack.
She's the leader.
She's not the Hollaback Girl.
Right.
Got it.
So anyway, kind of a fun one, but it's funny that the song was produced in 2015, but this interview that Courtney Love gave where she was being all, nasty with Gwen Stephani was in 2004. So it was quite a while till it was actually published. Maybe there were some other things that happened, but in the big scope of things, it's like, it's a fun song. It doesn't have a lot of, horrible stuff to it, depth to it. Exactly. I mean, it does have a good message, but it's not something I would have ever let my kids listen to.
No,
they probably did, but I'm talking when they were little.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about women or young girls, it's like, I really felt it was important to feed them with things that would help build their self-esteem or help them feel more confident about themselves, because there's so many things that go against that. Mm-hmm. And this song probably, if you look at the overall message, would be one of those songs, but maybe when they get a little bit older.
We all know it though, don't we?
Yeah.
This song.
There ain't no Hollaback Girl. Or the
Two
beat.
times I've been around that track because there ain't like that.
Yeah. Anyway, kind of a fun song, but
this shit is bananas.
Bananas.
Yeah, we all know it.
Yeah. It reminds me of cheerleading in high school where you would do that banana song and you'd peel your arms back.
Oh gosh. I know. I forgot about that one.
That's what Total
high school cheer.
Total high school cheer. So anyway, that's my Gwen Stephani one.
Okay.
The song that I chose was Just Breathe by Pearl Jam, which was written in 2009. So I'm going to share when I first heard this song, I was actually at a hot yoga class that I'd never been in hot yoga before. So this was probably the very first time I'd been. And it was after the class was over when you're ready to run out the door because it's 110 degrees or whatever. I heard this for the first time there and it really kind of hit my heart in a good way. Like I listened to the lyrics and I was like, what is he trying to say? And it sounded to me at the time like he was a man who was reflecting on his life, but maybe he was at the end of his life is what I got from it. But really what the lyrics were saying is that it's focusing on nothing lasts forever. And you have this one life, this one fleeting life, and the relationships and the people that are in your life are what give it substance and give it meaning. So all it's really saying is, savor these relationships and live in the moment, the present moment, which we all know is kind of hard to do. So the chorus says, did I say that I need you? Did I say that I want you? Oh, if I didn't, I'm a fool, you see. And he's expressing that they want to show their appreciation for people that's in their life. But you kind of wonder whether there is a tinge of regret somewhere. I get this little tinge of regret in the song. So anyway, the outro itself emphasizes the importance of these relationships, like I mentioned, and the memories that come and go. And here's another little quote. Nothing you will take everything you gave, hold me till I die, meet you on the other side. And I think that's why I was thinking it was a song about death. Yeah. But really what it's saying is just embrace and enjoy while you're here. And when we are gone, we will see each other again.
Yeah.
Not that they were necessarily dying, but what I kind of got from this song was it's just a gentle reminder really to breathe, just breathe. And that's the name of the song, obviously, but just to breathe and take in the moment and not let everything just get to you. Just focus on what is in front of you, what's important, the basics.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful
song. It's a good
song.
reminder. I don't know that I'm familiar with that song.
Oh,
Would
I'll
I
play
recognize
it for you.
it?
Yeah, you would.
I would.
You would totally recognize it. It's really one of my favorites. You know, there's a few of them out there that I really enjoy. Some are music related that are dancey songs or songs that just get you moving. They don't really have the significance, you know, that some of these other ones do. And then there's those old school ones that have been around for us for a long time, you know, like the Led Zeppelin songs and Steve Miller and, Bohemian Rhapsody is one that I was kind of tearing apart when I was putting this together, because I love that song and I swear I know most of it by heart.
Me too.
And I was really curious about it, but there was not a lot of information.
It's interesting. There's a lot that there's not a lot of information, and a lot of the songs from the 70s kind of drug inspired.
Oh, huge, yeah.
You know, Fly Like an Eagle, yeah.
And of course, we're singing them, and we don't have any idea when we're
right.
12 years old, 13 years old, whatever it was.
That's why our parents. I used to do that with my kids. Like, do you hear the lyrics to this song? What are you listening to?
Or I'll say to my kids now,
it's like, beat, Mom.
Do you know? I'll say, do you know who this is? And they'll look at me and they're going, well, it's either, I can tell their wheels are turning. It's either Prince or it's, something. And they'll say a name and it's usually not the right one. But for the most part, if we've listened to songs, like their dad listens to just straight up rock and roll. So they know, and he listens to country. So they know like all these songs that they've listened to in the car, coming home from school or whatever when they were younger. And of course they know like every Indie Irie song that's out there, because when they're with me, I'd always play it. And so obviously I've expanded my horizons a little bit now, but she's still my fave.
Yeah.
Anyway, because she's so soulful and has such amazing music, and just love her.
There's messages in all of her music.
And it's all just filled with
very
love.
Distinct. Yeah. Very distinct messaging in her songs.
I did this post. I think it was an Instagram post or something a while ago when Michelle and I went to New Orleans a couple years ago. I guess it's been about 4 years now.
Yeah.
Or 3 years or 4 years. Anyway, we went and saw her in concert, and I took a video when she was singing, and I don't remember what the song was, but she was just doing it like a cappella. There was nobody really playing. And I posted that and I was like, if my soul had a voice, this is what it would sound like.
Yeah.
She just makes my heart full. So
yeah,
I wish she'd come around more often, but I think she's trying to figure things out for herself.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Just Breathe with Pearl Jam. I'm going to just touch on this next song because we will have an episode that will be relating to this at some point. But there is a song many of you probably know by Eric Clapton. It's called Tears in Heaven, and it was written in 1992. And if many of you that know me, some of you don't know this, but we had a son that was born in 1991 and died in 1992 when he was 4 months old. He was a SIDS baby. And so this song actually came out when this was all going on. And so it has a tremendous, I really couldn't even listen to it for the longest time, because it hit home so hard. But anyway, this song was written by Eric Clapton after he had this horrific tragedy where his 4-year-old little boy, Connor, they were at a high-rise apartment building. I think it was like the 53rd floor. And he fell out of the apartment building window off the 53rd floor when he was 4 years old and died. And just a horrific tragedy, just total accident,
Yeah.
And this song, you can just hear the pain in his voice. You can just hear the sorrow. And that's why it was so hard for me to listen to for so long, but it totally speaks to me. So anyway, I'm bringing you a little bit of a precursor because we are going to talk about Zachary and that whole experience of losing a child. And I'm going to share that with all of you, but we're going to do it in a different episode. But this song is definitely one that resonates with me and has stayed with me since it was originally published for lots of different reasons. But I could feel his pain, literally feel his pain. And I think that's why it's just stayed with me this whole time.
Yeah. And I know that song. I didn't think I did. I didn't think I knew what song you were talking about when you brought it up, but I totally know that song, but never knew
the origin
or how it came about.
Well, and he was a heavy drinker at the time, too. And so I think this incident also helped him get sober, or helped him kind of clean his life up a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody should be outliving their children ever. But it happens. And, you have to really see what you pull from that. But anyway, we'll get into that in another episode. But anyway, a wonderful song. So going back, if you guys want to look these up and really listen to them, kind of get a feel for what we're talking about, and maybe you'll have your own version or your own interpretation, which is kind of what's cool about music. It's art. Mm-hmm. And even though the artist might have intended it for something else, that doesn't mean that you don't use it in a different way or you don't see it in a different way, because it's all based on your experiences.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to go back and listen to some of these and really it might bring back memories from certain things. I mean, I have a lot of music that's tied to things in my life that I remember.
Me too.
So if a song comes up, you're like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Or, like a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire songs, like one Earth, Wind and Fire song, I think it was Reasons or something. I'm like, oh, that was the makeout song. When we were like in 9th grade or 10th grade or something, that was the makeout song, it's like, because it's all these little sexy bubble bath songs. But anyway, so I remember some of those things that correspond.
How Deep Is Your Love?
Oh, yeah.
That was a good makeout song.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that might be another episode too. So, in going back to this, so just to reiterate what the songs were, Michelle had Born in the USA with Bruce Springsteen. And then I talked about Just Breathe by Pearl Jam. And I would love for you guys to pull that up on your Spotify or whatever and have a listen, because you might look at it differently now. Hollaback Girl, just a fun one. Nothing really too pressing on that one. It's just kind of fun to see what the motivation was behind the song. And then Michelle, you had another one there.
Landslide.
Stevie Nicks. Yeah. Stevie Nicks. She's been around for a long time.
Or Dixie Chick.
Yeah. Or Dixie Chicks. Yeah. Or I guess during 2020, they took the Dixie part out. I don't know. Whatever. That's what I heard. So okay. I don't know if they're the Chicks. I've never listened to them personally.
Me neither. Yeah. That's the only song I know of theirs.
They have nice voices though.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Anyway, and then of course, Where is the Love, which is another one that might really resonate with you when it comes to all of the world problems that are going on and, what we can do as a community and, a government and everything to try to make things better. And that's an ongoing thing, as we know. It's not something that, you fix one thing and then another thing pops up.
And that's Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, that one's Black Eyed Peas. So anyway, if you guys have songs or anything that you would be interested in us talking about, let us know. We would love to. We're going to do this once in a while.
You know what we should do? We should come up with a playlist that we can share with our listeners.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah, not just these, but, include these as we go along. But, some of our favorites might be something different for them to listen to in their car.
I'd like that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is all we have for you guys today. We really hope that you have a wonderful week, and we will see you soon.
Remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. We are always there. If you have any specific things you want to share with us, just reach out on blondebrunetteandamic@gmail.com.
That sounds great.
All right, everybody. See you soon.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
1, 2,